Hello, my name is C, and today I have a WIP and Chat for you. So, it's been a while. I figured we could talk, do a little catching up, and, I could talk all my nerdy things. So, yeah, I'm going to be working on this cute little cabin. It's called Blush Cabin from Fallon Gems. I do have a video on those guys going up either before this or after this. I don't know yet. But I do have an unboxing plan for that one. And yeah, so I'm going to work on this one. I was already diamond painting today, but I figured instead of switching whips to a new section, I just continue off of what I had, and you can see how chaotic I work on things. So I have this kit. I have my pen from Création de Belle, staple on my channel, and I do have one from Enabler's Outpost here that I'll use if I come across any ABs. I do have Création Modern Paris, the Drills and Chills one in my pen, so there's that, and I will be using my Moony Bee trays. So that's the plan for today. I'm sorry there's a lot of shadows. It is winter in my city, which means it's dark all the time. So it's just an unfortunate side effect of living where I live. Anyways, so let's jump right on into this. So I don't know, let's chat work things wise first, and then I'll chat all my nerdy stuff. Hopefully this is a-okay for focus. So anyways, I started at a new school a couple months ago now. I started there in August, and as of recording this video on the 15th, it has now become my permanent home. So it is nice to be settled at one school again. I'm going way off where I wanted to work. Anyways, yeah, so I am settled at one school, which means I can now bring all my kits that I had frames set up for and do all of that fun stuff. Settle into routines with the students and teachers and plan events and, plan events and things like that. I do not mean to hit that. That's annoying. So yeah, and the first thing that I have planned is a book fair, which is next week. It is the first book fair I am doing by myself, which is a little weird. Last time I did it, I had a teacher helper, teacher librarian. We shared the library space and we both did the fair together. Okay, I am just not going to work on this part. Actually, why don't I just slide it over and then I can move it back? We can think this through together. But yeah, so it's the first book fair I'm doing by myself. I had students wander around the school and set up posters for me today. So who knows where those ended up, but it's fine. I'm sure they are all in areas that will really get the message across. We'll see. They look like they had fun trying to figure out where to set it up, so I mean, that's the main point. And yeah, so book fair stuff is fun to figure out. I do the setup next Thursday. I get exactly 6 hours to get the entire thing set up and ready to go for parent visits that start right at the end of the day. So, and I'm talking like I gotta get the tables in there and see if I have cloths somewhere hidden within the library space. Usually there are some. If not, I am debating going and picking up some red tablecloths and just doing a reimbursement for them. Just for the full book fair vibes of it all. but we'll see. Who knows? Book fair felt like it was weeks away, and suddenly it is next week, and I'm kind of in panic mode, but it's fine. Anyways, that is the main thing going on at work. It's been fun getting used to the kiddos at this new school. They're actually super sweet and full of personality and joy, and it is so much fun getting to meet all of them. But anyways, I think that's it. Yeah. So that is the main bit of life that I want to do an update on. So into the nerdy, wow, that only took like 6 minutes. But anyways, so there's other things going on, but that was the main thing. I will talk about work again later. But anyways, there will be a cut here, and I'm so sorry. The next thing I have a list of prompts beside me, so I at least stay somewhat on topic. The next thing I have is, how is writing going? And funnily enough, I did do some writing in October. I don't know if anyone, okay, I know some people watched my month in review, which is really, really kind of people. But I talked about how I wrote, what was it, 52,000 words? So that was awesome. It was not anything related to what I am doing, though. I mean, novel-wise. I wrote fan fiction for an entire month. I wrote a lot of fan fiction because October is what I like to call prompt month. I think a lot of people call it that. But there is writing lists for everything under the sun. And I mean everything. Like, you have your Inktober, which was the start of all of it. Inktober is for, I say drawing. You could write it if you want to. But it's a dude that came up with daily prompts years ago. And more recently, I can see the shadow caused by my talking with my hand. I see recently, loosely, people have been taking the list and just doing, or the idea of prompt month in October and doing different types of lists. So I wrote for Wumptober, which is hilarious to say out loud. It is basically just, here's a whole bunch of bad situations, put your favorite characters through it type of deal. So I did that. I managed to get 28 of the 31 days done, which is kind of sad that I didn't go for the full thing, in all honesty. Like, I was doing really, really good, and then I just hit a wall with one of the prompts, and I was never able to get back on track. But I think for my first time participating in some sort of writing challenge, writing month, in the last, what was that, 7 years, I think I figured out, it was not bad, especially considering the word count. Just for comparison's sake, what was it? The Giver by Lois Lowry? I can never say it right. Has roughly 46,000 words, and The Great Gatsby has 50. So I did a lot. I'm kind of proud of myself for that, but I didn't complete the challenge. I'm still working on it. It may be done by the end of November, but I still want to do it. Yeah. So writing's been fun. I got a lot of requests from those because they're all one-shots, which just means they're just one chapter, a couple thousand words, one and done. However, I got a lot of requests to continue some of them, so I might keep writing them. I know I will, actually. I have ideas that I've been writing out, and I'm gonna keep doing that. It also means that I have less time to work on some of my kits, but that's okay. Writing has been something that I've wanted to do for a very long time, and if this is how I get back into the rhythm of writing every day, then that's how I do it. And that's a-okay. So there's that. Although, now that I'm writing this, there's a running joke for the internet. We'll just go the internet. Anyone who is active on AO3, which is Archive of Our Own, which is where I put everything up, there is a running joke that there is a curse where, if you've ever read on there, you might have seen some of the absolutely wild author notes of just like, yeah, so I think I read one where like the person got hit by a car or something at some point, but they still decide to put their next chapter up. Things like that. So it is a toss-up if the curse comes for me or not. We'll see. I doubt it. It's just a fun internet gag. But yeah, fun times. So that is how writing is doing. It is completely fan fiction, but I am a-okay with that. The first step is to just get in the habit of writing every day again, and then I can focus on my characters from 2016, if I continue with those guys. We'll see if I do. Or maybe I'll just revamp some of my old writing at some point. I don't know, it's been years. Could I actually look at my old writing and not just cringe to death? Probably not. Probably not. The next thing is... I forgot about this. Okay. So, while thinking on the topic of, like, my current thing of just being absolutely in love with my hero, I remembered my old internet deep dive of, like, why we choose our favorite characters, why we do things like that. And the main answer that I got, and this was ages ago, this could have changed, and it was like a 4 a.m. I had trouble sleeping one night in high school, and I went on this deep dive, and I still remember it vaguely. But yeah, so I looked into why we like the characters that we like. This was during the time that I was obsessed with Supernatural. I still am. I really do love that series. But I was trying to figure out, like, why these characters called to me so much more over any others. And the big thing is we choose characters that we see ourselves in, so pieces of ourselves. Whether that be, you know, how do I word this? Some of the struggles that the characters go through, while they may not be one-to-one, we may resonate with the emotions being portrayed by them in that moment. So things like that, which honestly makes so much sense. Because let's look at this in the case of one of my favorites, which is Midoriya. So he is at the beginning of the series, the super awkward, nerdy little dude who has his head in a notebook. Hey, that's a pretty good look. And he's like super awkward around people and things like that, which no wonder I liked him at the very beginning, because I was that kid in high school. So makes sense on why I really love this little dude, and why I want to see him succeed so well. So makes sense. That's just one of the characters. I have a whole long list of favorite characters. But that was one of those cases. It is also, another thing that popped up in the search is we want what we cannot have. So our favorite characters may be stronger or braver than we are. So maybe, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So it makes sense on why we choose favorite characters, because we see or we connect with them in some way. Kind of like how a character you don't like, come on, there we go. Kind of like how a character you don't like might have traits of a person you don't like, or just something that you don't like in yourself, things like that. Does that make sense? Maybe. I'm trying really hard to watch how I speak, because sometimes I talk like a friend got a kick out of this, a squirrel on crack. So my train of thoughts bounce around. I speak really quickly and my mouth can't keep up with my brain. So I'm trying to watch how I'm speaking so that it at least comes out somewhat clear, if that makes sense. So yeah, favorite characters, because we see ourselves in them. Well, pieces of ourselves. We won't ever be one-to-one with favorite characters, but yeah. Which makes a lot of sense for my faves. Anyways, I've repeated that enough times. Which brings me right back around to what have I been reading. So I think last time I did one of these, My Hero Academia had just ended. And I'm still not over that. So I see one I missed. So in that, I have just been reading fan fiction. I've been reading a lot of fan fiction, which thankfully the My Hero fandom on AO3 has way too much for me to read, so I am not ever going to run short of things there. So, which is lovely. However, as a librarian, I should really be reading actual novels, so I know what to add to my collection at work and can actually recommend books to students when they ask, but that's not happening. My brain just won't focus on other stories right now, which is fine. I will just keep reading what I'm reading, my silly little stories, until I get bored of them. I think it's been like slightly over a year now, but hey, we shall see what happens. So I've also been listening to it. There is one channel on YouTube that I really, really love to listen to. She's great. She has such a soothing voice, and there's something about it that she ends all of her videos with, "all right," and I have picked that up for work too. So when I finish reading a story to the kiddos, I've actually started saying it the same way she does, which I find hilarious. Should I listen to her videos less? Maybe, but it's fine. I don't know. I like listening to her voice, and the stories are great. So that is that. I did borrow some books. I borrowed The Legend of the White Snake. It is... I read some reviews and they said, like, if you like Don Mays or Don Was, I can't remember how to pronounce it, that it would be a good pick. It is basically a prince. I cannot remember his name at the moment. His mother was bitten by a snake, and they need to find the exact snake to make some sort of cure for her. However, the snake had, like, there was a pearl, like a life pearl at some point, and the snake got a hold of it. I'm trying to remember. I'm only like an hour into the book. But the snake got a hold of it and now can transform between being human and snake. So I think I summarized that all right. I mean, it's an interesting concept. I actually do want to get back into reading it. I have to return it in like 4 days. So this weekend I'm going to listen to it and see what happens. But yeah. So I'm going to keep reading that one. And then I also borrowed Zodiac Rising, which I didn't fully read the description. I read that it's like descendants of the Zodiac and there's like a mystery involved. That's about as far as I got in the description, and then I borrowed it. And then I went and read some reviews, and people are saying that it's not that great. Like, some people really like it, and some others are just like, it kind of fell flat. So we'll see. Reviews are usually like that for books though. Like, I don't think I've ever read a single book where all the reviews are either one way or another. They're usually pretty split. I guess it's just which side is louder, if that makes sense. So who knows? We shall see. I might not even get around to reading it because it is also due in 5 days. I was listening to fan fiction instead of reading it, so it's crunch time. I have plenty of time this weekend to read them though, or listen to them. So I will do that. I think that's one thing I want to do in the new year. I want to get back into the habit of setting a Goodreads goal and actually reading some books. Again, just so I know what to recommend to students and what books to add to the library and things like that. So who knows? I want to do it. Is it going to happen? Probably not. Unless I can get myself out of this hole that I found myself in with fanfiction, who knows? But yeah, it is going to be interesting. There's actually a lot of books that have come out recently that I want to read. So there's those guys, and I want to do a reread of The Hunger Games because of this Sunrise on the Reaping. The new Hunger Games book that focuses on Haymitch's game. I skipped over the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes because it was about, who's the president? President Snow? And I really don't like his character, and I don't want to read an entire book dedicated to him. But I will if it means knowing more information for Haymitch's book. That also means I have to reread The Hunger Games because I don't remember what happens. Like, I mean, I have a vague memory and a vague outline, but I don't remember a lot of the finer details. I know it's not needed for a prequel, but I like to know those things, so that's what I'm gonna do. There were some other books. Shatter Me is getting a new book, and it follows Adam's little brother, James, several years in the future, so definitely have to reread that book because I remember nothing about the little brother. So that's another reread. But I can do that one through Spotify. Yeah, Spotify has all the books. So I can do it there. Which, if you didn't know, with Spotify Premium, you can get audiobooks, like 15 hours of listening time. It's not a lot each month. But there are books that you can get through quickly, or start longer ones right at the end of that cycle, and you can blast through the entire thing. But yeah, I've been listening to audiobooks on there too, not so recently. The Song of Achilles is also on there, which is one I really like to reread. It is such a beautiful story. It's tragic, which is right up my alley, but it's beautiful. So there's that. I also, what's the other one I borrowed? The Lost Story by Meg. Her name starts with an S. I can't remember. But it was described as a more grown-up version of Narnia. Which Narnia is a sweet story, as Christian themed as it is. It's still a lovely story and something. I really liked the movies as a kid, and then I read the novels and I'm like, ooh, okay, this is a lot more Christian than I expected, but that's okay. They're still great stories, and it is the time period that they were written in has to be kept in mind while reading them, because there's a lot of comments about like how women shouldn't be fighters and things like that. So but I don't want to get into that right now. The books are not fresh enough in my memory for that discussion, and I don't want to say the wrong thing by accident. So yeah, I want to read The Lost Story because that just sounds interesting. Also, the mysterious disappearance of Aiden S. That's another one where the kid just teleports away for a few days and then teleports. I believe he goes through some sort of dresser. Another Narnia-esque book. But the kid goes to the dresser and nobody believes him when he gets back. So it's just a story of trying to figure out how to get people to believe him. And yeah, so sounds interesting. It's a shorter read, I believe, that one. But it's definitely something I want to check out, especially considering that it is a juvenile one. It's a middle grade, so it would be a nice light read. Oh, I did finish The Lost Library recently. Who was the author of that one? I don't know. It's The Lost Library. It's about this little little free library, you know, like the little stands. And the little library has a cat guardian, and these two kids stumble upon the books, and they find out that actually all of them used to belong in their town's public library that burned down a few years ago, and none of the adults talk about what happened. So these kids go on their little mystery journey to figure out what happened with these books and why no one talks about it and who was all involved. And it was a good little book. There's 3 points of views. You have the kids. Well, 3 points of views. You have one of the kids, the cat, and then you have the librarian who was in charge of the library. Was she a librarian? She was a library assistant. Who worked at the library before it burned down. So, and she built the little free library stand. So that one was good. I really like it. It's a sweet little mystery. It's a quick one. It's nothing intense. I mean, it's a middle grade book. But it was a nice little one. I started reading it to class and they seem interested. Just because it's a simple book, the point of view changes often, so the chapters are short, but they end on like intriguing notes. So whatever, I'll keep reading it. We'll see if they enjoy the book. Which we did a vote to start with. It was either between The Lost Library or The Probability of Everything. I don't know if I've talked about this. Oh, I did briefly. But The Probability of Everything is a book about a little a middle schooler whose entire world ends just one day. They have 3 days left before the meteor strikes, and so she's trying to figure out just what to do. How do you spend the last 3 days? And she decides to make a time capsule of her family so that the next humans, aliens, whoever takes over next, knows who they were and they wouldn't be forgotten. That one was a very good read. It's harder, I would say it's a harder discussion of what do you do when your time is running out? How do you grieve your life before it ends? And lots of big changes. There is a huge plot twist at the end, which I'm sure if I reread the book, I could see the twist coming, but I'd have to reread it to figure it out. But I really like the twist at the end, and it points out like some really good things about life and all that comes with it. So it's a very sweet book. I really do like it. Even for all of its like sillier moments, it's still great. So those were not on my list to talk about. I just kind of remembered them. Next thing on my list is what am I listening to? So I already talked about some of the books, some of my podfics. I actually wanted to start listening to this podcast. So someone that I follow did listen to it and then shared her thoughts or did a reaction. I didn't fully watch the video. I started it because I thought that I wouldn't go back and listen to the podcast. But in the end, I decided it sounded interesting enough, so I'm gonna listen to it. It's called the Magnus Archives. So it is about this guy who's going through these messy archives of supernatural events. So they're all cataloged and dealt with and things like that. I did not look into this much. I do not know how accurate that description is. I am going off the one episode that I listened to. But I do know that it gets into like this whole other backstory about like where the previous archivist went, what happened to them, things like that. Because apparently there's a whole mystery surrounding them. I don't know. I'm gonna listen to it some more at work next week. Probably when I am setting up the book fair. But I am super interested because, I mean, supernatural stuff is right up my alley. And combine it with library stuff, and I am super interested. Although, here's the thing. I don't know if it's like this for other jobs. I love reading books about libraries and archives and things like that. That's my jam. But I always get nervous because if they get something wrong in these books, is it going to annoy me? I don't know. Is it the same thing for other jobs? Like if a teacher's reading a book about teaching and it seems weird or different than it's supposed to be. Teaching is such a poor example because there's so many different styles of teaching. And now I'm trying to think of jobs, but I can't. Anyways, would you read a book about your own job, or would you be too worried about them getting it wrong? I still read books about jobs, my like libraries and that, because they're such an interesting setting. Sorry. They're a very interesting setting. However, use it as a setting, but please do not go too much into the back end of things because I will pick it apart. Without even meaning to. It's just, I don't know, it's just how my brain functions. I want to pick it apart. It's the same way that, what is it, Library of Thorns? No. Oh, I just bought it for my friend. I don't know. It's a magical library. And, I read that one and I kept thinking about my job in relation to the book. It got it totally fine. Like, it's totally fine. There was no worries there. It just kept popping up into mind of like, but maybe this would work better. Which is so dumb. But that's just kind of what happens when I read books of libraries. I don't know. Let me know. Do you do that for your own job? I'm curious. So yeah. What else? Anyways, back to the archives. I did not look into it much, the Magnus archives, only because I like going into things blind. A lot of the times I find descriptions are too descriptive and give away everything, so I prefer to go in blind and figure it out along the way with the characters. See what happens. But anyways, in terms of watching, My Hero Academia Season 7 just ended with the announcement that Season 8 is coming and will be the last season. I hate how Season 7 ended. We'll do minor spoilers here. I say minor. Season 7, the final episode, ends with All Might as the star, and I don't like All Might. He really sucks. He really does, and I just hate, like, that's where we're leaving the season, with this garbage character. He's not a garbage character. No, he kind of is. I have my own opinions. He sucks. I know a lot of people really like him. I am not one of those people, and I am disappointed that the season's grand cliffhanger is him. I hate it so much. But it's fine. There will be another season. The final season will come out in 25. I would assume the fall lineup, so like October again. I don't know how they're going to do, I won't go into manga spoilers, but I don't know how they're going to do the season. Like, are they going to do another full 24 episodes, or are they just doing 12? Because I feel like 24 is ambitious for what's left of the manga. But I also feel like 12 wouldn't be enough, unless they're doing like 13 or something. I don't know. But there were so many scenes that I was looking forward to that just did not happen, and now I have to wait. So I'm disappointed. Nope, that's not the right symbol. I did not put that away right. There we go. So whatever. It means I get more openings and more music to listen to as well. I am also disappointed that they have Season 7 second opening is called Curtain Call. It would have been a great song to end the series with, but they didn't. And it's called Curtain Call. It's the end of the series, and then they go and make an announcement for another one. Alright, fine. I'm really not upset, because it means I get to watch more and live in my little world for a little longer. So, whatever. But there was a new movie that came out for it, the fourth one. It's called You're Next. It stars, I want to say all of 1A, but I think Bakugo, Midoriya, and Todoroki are the main stars. Like, they're the main trio fighting the villain, which is a fake All Might. It's not fake All Might, it's true All Might. Meh. All Might's a villain. That's pretty much the whole premise. It's some guy dressing up as All Might and being a villain. Nope. I'm gonna keep the personal feelings aside for that one. I wish I saw that in theaters. However, I didn't realize that they were only showing it for like 2 weeks, and I missed my little window. So now I have to wait for the DVD release and hope Netflix gets it right away. Kind of disappointing, kind of not. Because it means that I can just watch all 4 movies in a row, which would be fun, because I've been wanting to do a rewatch of those movies again. So, there's that. I want to watch The Edge of Sleep too. Markiplier, gaming YouTuber, put out this podcast a couple of years ago now. Not too sure how long. It's called The Edge of Sleep. I listened to it when it first came out, and it was about this guy. I think it's a group, actually. But a group of people where they hadn't fallen asleep yet, and they realized that people falling asleep around them is pretty much death for those people. So they are trying their hardest to stay awake and beat whatever is going around, figure out what's happening, how to survive. And it got made into a TV show, and it was put on Prime. However, Prime locked it to US only, so I haven't been able to watch it, which I'm quite disappointed. Because I would have loved to have seen that series. And yes, I know I can get like a VPN and watch it, but I don't feel like trying to figure that out. I'll just wait and see if it gets a Canadian release. Or if enough US people watch it and it stays on the charts long enough, it gets a Canadian release. We'll see. So there's that. And season 2 of Arcane came out recently, which is based off League of Legends and the story around those characters. I watched the first season when it came out. Season 2 just came out, and I started the first episode. I had to do a rewatch of season 1 though, because I couldn't quite remember where it ended off. I'm glad I did. There was a lot of small things that I forgot happened. So I did rewatch that, and now I'm on to season 2, and I am disappointed that season 2 used the same opening song as season 1. It is a small thing that I don't know, like, it's a new season, mix up the opening. Maybe that's just me being used to anime and it changing every single season. I haven't watched much American TV lately. I actually think the last series that I properly watched was Supernatural, which ended years ago at this point. I just realized how long it's actually been. But, okay, I made a few people proud, hopefully. I started watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. I got yelled at by some friends because I hadn't watched it. So I decided, okay, yell is me just exaggerating things. But I decided to start watching it. I got like 4 episodes in, and I told them this too, but I am surprised how slow it is for a children's TV show. I am 4 episodes in. Like, I mean, the adventure has started, the characters have been introduced, yada yada yada. I'm sure it'll pick up speed from here, but it feels really, really slow. And I am now realizing that I have watched the first episode before and I never made it past there. But I have this time. I'm on episode 4. And I'm going to keep watching it. Eventually. After I finish reading my books. It's good though. I have been enjoying what I've watched so far, but I think it's quite entertaining. And I also thought it was a much longer series, unless Netflix doesn't have all the episodes. I think it's only like 3 seasons. And I thought it was way longer than that. Number 2, I think. So yeah. That's going on. And that's, I think that is all that I'm watching, aside from like my fave people on YouTube, but that's about it, I think. I do want to watch, what was it? I need to keep watching Chainsaw Man. I need to watch that. I still need to watch season 2 of Spy Family. And there was something else on my list to watch. It was a really cheesy show. But anyways, I'll move on. Maybe I'll remember eventually. Yeah. So that is my, what is that, half-hour nerdy rant? I figured I might as well chat about some YouTube things going on. So many new people have joined since my last WIP and Chat, and I want to say thank you for joining. Yeah, just a big old thank you for subscribing and watching and just kind of hanging out. I don't do these types of videos often. My life is boring. I go to work, I come home, I do nerdy things. That's about it. So I usually don't do WIP and Chats because I don't have a whole lot to chat about. But I do make a thing full of notes so that when I get enough, I can do a video. So there's that. This year is a little special because I am actually going to be doing the Christmas premieres this year, which I'm looking forward to. It also means you guys get another WIP and Chat. Probably. I haven't quite decided what video I'm doing, but I think I'm leaning towards that. We'll see. I still have some time left to plan it out and get it recorded, so that's exciting. I watched so many premieres last year, and I'm so excited to actually be a part of it this year. I don't know, I'm excited but nervous at the same time. There's no reason to be nervous. I'm just excited to be joining everybody in it, and I look forward to watching everybody else's. What else? My sunset crossing. I was reminded today about the sunset crossings. I do have every intention of finishing this up this year and getting that final video up for you guys. It might be closer to the end of December though, because I've not been working on those kits. I will soon. I'll finish up my 2 current whips, which is this one and Valkyrie from Jada Gem Shop, and then I will jump back into those 2. Because I would love to get that video, that final comparison up for you guys. And I really want to go into the new year with 0 whips. Last year I had like 2 or 3. This year I want none. We'll see if it happens. But what do you guys think? Like, if I'm gonna do a year in review again, but what do you think about me including projects outside of diamond painting? Like, I have some pixels that I worked on, some pixels like those sticker by numbers. Would you like to see those at the end of the year? Or just diamond painting? Because I know I'll finish up a couple more before the year ends. Well, I bought their advent, so I'm gonna have that done too. Anyways, I also wanted to know, how do we like the kitting up videos? I've done a couple of them so far. I enjoy editing and recording those. They're quite fun to do as like a mark of, hey, I'm starting this new thing, join me along while I start it. But do you guys like watching them? Do you have some feedback on those, like things you want me to do differently? You let me know. Yeah, and I have a new project that I'm starting next year. It might be a little ridiculous, we'll see. But that new project is what I'm dubbing the library project. So I have a nice space in my library at work where I could fit some diamond paintings or one really massive landscape. So here's what I'm gonna do, or my plan for that space is to work on several seasonal kits and rotate them throughout the years, and of course as I work on them I can get down to a point where like maybe I change them out monthly, but they are, the size I'm looking at is like 70 by 90, 70s by 100s, things like that. So massive kits. So far my lineup for those is for fall to do Tennessee River Sunset. I might pick up the enhancement pack for that. I think it's in a really good spot that like all the shine would be caught. But I don't know if I want to do that, or if I just, because then like, do I have to bling up the other ones so that they match? Or can I just do the one as super blingy? I don't know. So there's that. For winter, I have Winter Solace. Hopefully I remember to listen back to this and pop up some pictures as I'm naming things, so you aren't just like trying to figure out what I'm talking about. I am very visual too, so for winter I have Winter Solace, unless my coworker suggested this one, unless I find something with Northern Lights to be more Canadian themed. Because you know, it would be really nice to have a painting with some Northern Lights for winter. The gross season, as I like to call it, the in-between of winter and spring here, it's when everything is melting and it's muddy, it's sandy, it's brown all around, and it is disgusting outside and it's a sloppy mess, is Springbringer. I feel like that is such a good transitional piece between the seasons, and I think it would fit in well. So there is that. For spring, I have Sakura Festival. Very, very gorgeous kit. It doesn't scream spring, but I feel like it is very fitting. A friend suggested that one, and originally I was going to do Inspiration of the Spring Meadow. I think that's what it's called. It's that Chuck Pinson. But that festival Yume art is definitely one I want to work on, so I think I'll do that one. And then summer, ooh, ABs. Summer, I was thinking, I was originally going to do Evening Melodies or Moonlight Bay. However, they were both like more late summer going into fall, and I figured Mountain Morning, it's not a kit I own, fits summer better. So I think I'm going to do Mountain Morning for summer, which would really only be up for June, and then the students are on break and I would be the only one enjoying the piece. But yeah, I think that's going to be my lineup. I might add more, I might do less, but I have 5 kits for 4 seasons. It was originally going to be 4 kits, 4 seasons, but then, yeah, my coworker pointed out the gross season, and I had to have something for it. So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, okay. I'm going to leave that here. I will also share that entire, I'll have a proper video introducing all of those kits and the plans for them and how I want to work on them and things like that in the new year. Until then, though, this is the only type of video I am chatting about them on. So yeah, but I'll have a proper series for all of them, I think, and it'll just be titled My Library Project, I think. And that way it is easy to add to. If I want to add more kits to that wall, I can pop into that project playlist again. Does that make sense? I don't have this fully fleshed out. This is just something I thought about in the last day or two and figured I would give it a shot. So there is that. Okay, I think that is all I have today. A little shy of an hour, but I totally knew that was going to happen. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna leave that off here. Let me know what you worked on this kit. If you made it to the very end, can you drop a little snowflake or something blue in the comments? And I will leave that here. All right, I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.